Hello, everyone joining us today on Take the Black Live, the show where myself, Dan Selcke, editor of winnerscoming.net, and Daniel Roman, coming at you from the other side of the internet, also editor of winnerscoming.net, talk about all things sci-fi, fantasy, dragons, space lasers, horses that go neigh, lasers that go pachoo, and everything before, after, and in between. Hey, for joining us. Hello, Nicole. Hello, Christian. Hello, Joanne. Hello, Martha. Hello, Julie. Hello, Corin. We have a lot. Hello, Karen. We have a lot of good people here today. I'm hoping for a spirited discussion about, all number of things. Daniel, what's on the docket for today?
Well, we've got a couple of fun things. We are, like you said, we're going to get into a spirited discussion about some Game of Thrones Last Kingdom stuff in a bit. But first, we got a new trailer. And anytime there's a new trailer for something exciting, we need to stop and pay our
for Game of Thrones.
Mandatory, not for House of the Dragon. Sorry, let's not confuse anyone. Hello, everyone in the chat. So glad you could join us. This trailer is for Norse myth stuff, very loosely. It's a Marvel trailer. It's Thor. The Thor trailer dropped.
You're really burying the lead. It's a trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder coming to the theaters.
Yes.
When is it coming again?
It is coming July 8th.
Okay, that is pretty soon. All right, shall we watch this thing and see if we can have any feelings that arise? And you out there, tell us what you think of the trailer we're going to consume now. The brand new trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder. Are you ready?
Yeah, let us know if you're excited for this one.
Okay, off the top. So we got young Thor running. So
Thor.
We're gonna do some kind of like Forrest Gump kind of look back into your past thing. I don't know how much I like that.
Yeah,
it's a little boring.
He's seeking peace. His hands are used for they used to be used for war. Now look at him.
Pause it on his face. Okay, so we have this is the fourth peaceful farmers. This is the fourth Thor movie. We got Chris Hemsworth back in the saddle as Thor, God of Thunder. Good for him. Do you like the Thor movies, Daniel? Are you into this?
Yeah, Game of Thrones fantasy nerd, I always was really excited about Thor because he's kind of the closest thing you get to fantasy stuff. Or at least he was. Like when the MCU was young, Thor was like, they had Captain America, they had Iron Man, and then it was like, okay, there are going to be castles and trolls and that kind of stuff in Thor. So I've always loved the character. I think the movies have been a little hit or miss. Like the first one was solid. It's older now, but the Dark World, the second one, I didn't like it first, but you've seen them all, right?
I've seen them all. Yeah. I say the same thing all the time. At this point, I feel like I go to Marvel films out of obligation more than passion.
Yeah.
But like the third one, folk went nuts for Ragnarok. People stood to this day, it's like, it's so amazing. I love it so much. And I'm like, it was nice. Like, no, I didn't. I like the music. My favorite thing about this trailer is AC/DC in it. Like that I can rock out to. But like
it's not AC. It's not AC/DC.
It's not. Who is it?
No, it's Guns N' Roses.
It's Thunderstruck. Oh, it is? Okay.
No.
Is that an AC/DC song? Oh God, I'm just wrong.
Nah, it's Sweet Child of Mine. Thunderstruck is an AC/DC song, which it's got to have been in one of them. Is it? Are there multiple classic rock songs? Well, you and the audience can tell us because we can't hear the audio. So if you hear Thunderstruck in there too, tell us. But okay, so Ragnarok, I was a little torn on it first because it's such a departure. And most of the movie was not really dealing with Ragnarok. It was Thor's adventures off in space, which is kind of the direction the character has gone. In retrospect, I love it. I really like Planet Hulk, which is one of the comics that one is based on. They kind of, instead of doing a Planet Hulk movie, they lumped it in with Thor Ragnarok. It's a different tone though, right? Like this is their fun summer blockbuster, this movie.
They've become that, yeah. which I mean, I'm all for. It's still okay. Why don't we just hit play and see what other feelings arise? Because
yeah,
I don't know. Fun summer blockbuster Marvel, serious Marvel. It's all the same. Okay, go on. I do like him in his normal threads. I think that's nice.
Yeah, agree. I love that he throws his jacket and it lands on someone's head. He doesn't even look.
There's some good questions here that we will get to.
Can we pause on the ship
over.
there? Let's back it up to that ship with the goats. Yeah, what are the questions? You want to hit them up?
Oh, sure. Okay. It's Guns N' Roses? Damn it. Okay, I was just wrong then. Fine.
Sorry.
You know what? I guess I don't know my metal as well as I thought I did. Thank you, Corn, for confirming that. I think Christian said he thought the trailer was a little cheesy, but I thought the same about Ragnarok. Ended up being my favorite Thor movie. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm all.
That's fair.
You know, I mean, it almost fits better in comedy because we're talking about, you know, the god of thunder with a hammer goes off with his outer space friends while his girlfriend becomes the new lord of it. And it's all very silly. So like, why not make it comedy? Yeah. You know, I'm okay with that. I'm ashamed. And apparently Thunderstruck was in Iron Man 2. So
oh wow, good call.
I'll take partial credit.
I did not remember that. Yeah, it's still Marvel would still give you credit.
Yeah, totally. And as Julie asked, you're asking about what really fast. Okay, Daniel, and then we'll get on to your brilliant point. I'm sure just keep it there.
Do it.
I'm sure it's great.
I am all in support of pop doll discussions.
Can I finish? Okay, no. Julie, you're asking about the Last Kingdom Funko Pops. And I do recall us having that post, but no, nothing has ever materialized. I wonder if it got caught up in you know what it was? It might have been the pandemic. It might have been something but no, I don't know what happened to Last Kingdom Funko Pops. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully they'll be revived at some point. But okay, Daniel, what was the excellent point you were going to make before I interrupted you?
I don't know that I had one. Just that I want an Uhtred pop to take me to Beb and Beth.
Totally. My lens.
Yeah. I feel like the Thor and his space friends kind of reinvention of the series took it from being kind of like I don't want to call the first two movies slightly boring. I liked them a lot.
That's okay.
The first one is
boring.
They're comparatively compared to a lot of the other Marvel movies, like they can kind of toe that line a little bit. And I think this was a really smart way to kind of reinvent where the character lives in the MCU. And like, it's so ridiculous that you kind of just have to go with it. Mm-hmm. Like, I kind of like
horses, like flying horses pulling a ship. That's funny.
Yeah. So even funnier, they're goats. They're not even horses.
Ooh.
This is so Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder, I think, are the name of the two goats. They pulled Thor's chariot through space in the comics. So apparently he has a ship. Cool. Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder are going to be pulling it around.
I do love comics where like the completely ridiculous sits comfortably with the utterly serious and like no one questions the melding. There definitely is a charm to that.
Yeah, and I feel like this movie in particular really leans into that. Like the font they use, the posters, it reminds me of like the 80s the 80s movie Heavy Metal. Like that kind of like really camp like pterodactyls. That's that kind of tone. But yeah, shall we keep rolling this? Let's see where Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder going.
Hit it. Okay. Oh, this Marvel movie will have expensive special effects locations. That'll be new.
Yes.
That'll be cool and new for them.
You can't go to Olympus for cheap. Can we pause on Zeus there with a thunderbolt? Yeah. So if you did not know, Zeus is in this movie. He's played by Russell Crowe, right?
Russell Brand, I think. Yeah.
Russell Brand.
Crowe, yes.
Russell.
I'm kidding. Yes. It's
you had me for a second. I was not sure. I would watch that movie though with Russell Brand as Zeus. But yeah, no, Russell Crowe, Maximus from Gladiator is playing Zeus in this. And we know that Gore the God Butcher, who's played by Christian Bale, is going to be going around. It is a good name with two R's, I found out.
Okay.
He's going to be going around killing gods because that's his bag. That's what he likes. And apparently, I mean, we can assume that's not going to bode well for Zeus, but that's why they're bringing in these other pantheons.
Julie, that's funny. I never thought about that. From now on, I'm calling him Rusty Crow.
Nice. Yeah, we got some good comments. New Asgard looks pretty different with the gold buildings, Valerie says. New Asgard, we're going to see what that's like with Valkyrie as the king. And Olympus is looking pretty snazzy too. Christian with the question about who is the blue hair. I'm not sure about that. Dan, do you know who the blue-haired person he was making out with on the boat is?
Not only do I not know, I didn't even realize there was a person with blue hair. So no, I am not helpful. Russell Brand, I think.
Yeah, they're whipping it around. Russell, fair. When I looked up stuff for this trailer, I could not find out who this character is. So we will find out. We will know as it gets closer.
All right, keeping on moving. Really?
Yeah. Christian says it looks like Katy Perry. We're not denying it.
Cool. Teenage Dream. Oh, that's but because Russell Crowe is from Australia, so they all call him Rusty. I like that. That's cool. I didn't think about that. This is funny. I do like the, Taika Waititi has a good command of like a comic frame. He knows how to use the framing to kind of make you laugh. The guy leans into it. That's good. I will certainly watch that. And that's great. And of course, we get our final little stinger. We have Natalie Portman as Jane Foster as the mighty Thor. Now she is a helmet. Now she is the hammer. Now she has armor.
Yes,
that'll be fun.
She has all of those things.
I'll say this for Marvel. They always know how to change things up so things don't become okay. So they don't appear to be samey. I think Marvel does a great job of giving the appearance of being varied and diverse and interesting and kind of moving along. I think it's a smokescreen, but I think they're very good at appearing like everything is moving forward and not staying in place, which is what it's really doing. I'll probably watch this out of boredom.
Out of boredom. Boredom and obligation, which are definitely the two words for this movie.
And you? Are you psyched? I mean, it is July. That is not far off.
Yeah, I'm psyched. I mean, I am a big Marvel stan. I love the MCU. I totally agree on the same but different, which is kind of like a classic marketing advice thing. Like that's what people want. They want the same but different. And when they get to know a brand, and Marvel really leans into that.
They're so good at it.
I think it's fascinating to me that they're bringing in characters like Jane Foster as the mighty Thor, because when Natalie Portman played Jane Foster in Thor 1, it was 2011, which was before the mighty Thor existed in the comics. So when Natalie Portman signed on to do these movies, like this was never in the plan at that point. The character didn't exist yet. So I think that's fascinating. As Marvel has gotten later into phase 4, they're doing that kind of more and more, bringing in the newer characters, like Miss Marvel as another one who's like in the past 10 years.
Kevin Feige, like Taylor Swift, is lightning on his feet. He can change things up. He can he can change things up. He can bring in new stuff. He's very, very good. He's very, very good at just adjusting to the needs of the moment. Again, Marvel has so many good people working behind it. I just wish I was more interested in it. But good for it. Looks cool. I'll probably watch it. And I'll probably think it was, not bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where if this is anything other than a decent movie, I'd be surprised. I don't know if you saw like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
I did. I was bored.
Yeah. So there were things I loved about that movie, but then there were things I did not like as much, like that the end was basically like a dragon fight.
Oh, the entire third act was just ending. Have him fight his dad. I went and saw it, and we were talking about afterwards, like the whole thing is about like him and his father can't get along. He's a gangster. He's trained to be a gangster, but the end fight is against a giant computer monster. What is wrong with you? because it just, I didn't enjoy that.
Yeah. So I feel like with the newer Marvel movies, the newer characters they're introducing, there's kind of that, anytime you're introducing a new character, there's a question of how they'll find their footing. This is the 4th Thor movie. It's the second one Taika Waititi has done. Thor now has the most movies as like his own headlining movies of any character in the MCU, more than Captain America or Iron Man. This feels like the safe bet. Like, it's Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy. They need to try for this to be anything other than a decent movie.
It'll be decent. I do think that Shang-Chi thing is illustrative somewhat, because my guess is they didn't want, it's so weird because like you could have an emotionally powerful climax where the hero fights his own father to the death, and you wouldn't need to spend nearly as much as a giant CGI dragon, but they couldn't have that because how are you supposed to sell Funko Pops of a guy who kills his father? So they have to put in a big CGI dragon so they can do that. I'm sure the money works out in the end, but that's my problem with Marvel, that they're just hamstrung by these need to be as big as possible. So you're not going to get patricide, even though that's what we deserve. And that,
oh my god,
save. And even though I'm sure I will enjoy Thor 4. I suspect it might still be have those, like I always say, and I say this every single time, but I still believe it. Marvel movies are always good. I don't think they've ever been great for me. I guess I was into Endgame. I mean, like, who can't, or you know what, Infinity War, that was great. But I mean, it was kind of hampered by the fact that we're going to come back. But okay, that's a lot of a bit of a rant there. And I'm sorry, Julie, we can't get Richard Funkos. I want it to.
Yeah. But yeah, that's so Thor. Let us know in the comments if you're excited for Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm excited. I'll go see it. I agree with you about Marvel kind of being hamstrung by what they can and can't do. That's kind of the interesting debate with DC with like the Batman. I think Richard, who reviewed the Batman on winterscoming.net, talked about. Yeah, he talked about how it was a great proof of that DC could do some things that Marvel couldn't do. So DC can't copy Marvel's big extended universe. They've just been trying and failing for years.
They're going to do it again.
But they're going to do it again. They're trying to do it again. The news just broke again this week that they're still trying to do it. But on the flip side, Marvel can't get as dark and as edgy and give us the patricide we deserve or want the way that DC could. So yeah, well, I do wonder in terms of longevity what that will mean for Marvel, because right now they're pulling the hard nostalgia card of we'll get all these crossovers, we'll pull in people from other franchises because now we're with Disney and Disney owns everybody. So where do we go from there is an interesting question.
I guess, well, you know what? We're going to answer that question together. Wait, shall we move on, Daniel? Do we have more thoughts on this on this thorn tangle of an issue?
Nah, this thorn tangle.
Thorn tangle.
Thorn tangle. Yeah, I think we should move on. If you are interested in how Jane Foster becomes the mighty Thor, that is a fascinating thing. You talking about Marvel getting edgier or not, that's a great example, because in the comics, like, she has cancer and that factors into how she can transform, but when she transforms, it eradicates her chemo. She ends up, it becomes a thing of she's killing herself to be the mighty Thor and be a hero. We'll see if they do that in the movie. They could, but will they? But
I think Karen, let's do. I think Karen Hauser has a great comment here that leads right into our next topic. So our next topic is basically so there's been this little narrative going around since The Last Kingdom season 5, the final season, aired. People have been comparing The Last Kingdom, which is a great, really good Netflix historical show, to Game of Thrones. And there's been some headlines like, it's Last Kingdom does what Game of Thrones couldn't. And it's not a good idea to get too serious about like the headlines. I write headlines, I know, like don't take them seriously.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting question it raises because Game of Thrones and Last Kingdom have a lot in common. They both take place in medieval milieus. One is real, Last Kingdom, and one is not, Game of Thrones. They both have a lot of like a combination of behind the scenes politicking and action scenes, battles, like things that are side of the battlefield. They're both kind of about, war. They're both medieval war stories. And even though Last Kingdom isn't a fantasy story, I mean, you get guys in armor trying to capture their castles, and similar themes arise, themes of honor and themes of destiny and themes of succession and political implications. So there's a lot of like kind of shared DNA. And I want to read Karen's comment because it's really, I think, insightful and could kick off the discussion. Karen Hauser of Facebook says, well, if you look at the last couple of seasons of Game of Thrones, The Last Kingdom was better. Overall, probably a draw. But Game of Thrones had more epic abilities. The Bernard Cornwell books, Bernard Cornwell wrote, the Saxon story for The Last Kingdom is based, are way better than George R. R. Martin. I will all start. I agree that they both have, like I said, like ups and downs. I do disagree about that last bit. I've read Bernard Cornwell and George R. R. Martin. I love the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell, one of my like early formative reading experiences. I think I want to bring up something that I don't think you had in your article about this, which is that watching The Last Kingdom, did it ever bother you that every 5 episodes, everything had to reset so Uhtred of Bebbanburg could again be put in a position where he saves England without getting the credit from Alfred or Edward or whatever king is in the position there? I agree that consistently, The Last Kingdom overall, in terms of the way the plots and the characters interacted with each other, was more consistent than Game of Thrones. I think that'd be a hard argument to argue against. I do think that the constant sort of recycling of every new kind of adventure, you have to think of a new way for Uhtred to be sort of thrust into the center of things and to come out the person who secretly saved England, getting no credit for it. It did wear after a while. And even though they always did a great job of like coming up with a new reason this is happening, eventually it started to strain on me. And I do feel like to me, like Last Kingdom, there was this through line from he lost Bepemba, and then he finally at the end gets Bepemba back. But it always felt like more like kind of discrete little episodes that kind of, combined if you squint. I did like that Game of Thrones always, it felt like a story that had a beginning and an end, and the middle was always changing. And like there were seasons where, Jon Snow in season 3 just had like a romance subplot with Ygritte, and that was like really all he did. And then in season 5, he's a leader. And in season 1, he's a novice. Whereas Uhtred is kind of always a badass who's just finding new ways to be a badass every time. So I do think it's more complicated than just one's more consistent and then one has higher highs, even though I do think that's true too.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I am sure that at some point over the course of while I watched The Last Kingdom, that bothered me. Looking back on the show, it's not something that I remember standing out like that. I remember being like a thorn in my side as a viewer or whatever. But I do think it's interesting because, like you said, like The Last Kingdom has a little bit more of a formula, and The Last Kingdom books have a little bit more of a formula of, like you said, Uhtred has to go on some adventure to save England, and he won't get any credit. Like that's the entire formula of basically the whole Last Kingdom book series. And they did 2 books a season, which meant that you're getting that twice per season, that arc of Uhtred saves everyone, and then Uhtred gets crapped on at the end.
It's not that I agree was bothered by it. It was more that just like, I think it's one of the reasons why I never felt as passionate about Last Kingdom as I did about Game of Thrones. Like that took me in completely in The Last Kingdom. I liked it, I respected it, but I just never I wasn't as invested in it as I was in Game of Thrones. And I think that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah. I think it's hard to, like, looking back now, like The Last Kingdom ended last month. I think it was
really?
last month. Yeah. The Last Kingdom ended
I think it was,
within the past 30 to 40 days. Game of Thrones ended 3 years ago. So I don't ever want to like fall back on the cop out of like, like human memory. We take things for granted when they're past. But at the same time, it's hard to remember looking back at Game of Thrones, like how thrilling it was to see something like Hardhome or Battle of the Bastards or The Red Wedding for the first time. And like, it did feel like overall the plot was like, you just did not know where the plot was going to go. Whereas with The Last Kingdom, there were still those moments. Like there were some moments as in the last season that I gasped and was really surprised. But
yeah,
it was never a question of like, where will Uhtred make it through that? Like, you never wonder.
We're like, we really thought Jon might not make it, and he kind of didn't. And Daenerys did die. Like, you do just never really in danger. Ned Stark died. There was more tension. Let's read some comments because we're getting some good comments here.
Yeah.
Let's see. As Julie, well, first of all, I like Julie's comment of never too much. Uhtred could save me any day, which, like, me too. Yeah. We're all fully into that. Let's see. Nicole agrees with me. Last King was a great show, but very repetitive plot. Always like Uhtred to save the day with 5 of his trusted men. It's always those 5 guys. I was upset in the last season when Baby Monk died. But
that was
not
rough.
Like as upset as I was when Jorah Mormont died. It was because I could see it like we need to sacrifice someone, and he didn't really have much of an arc. Jorah had a whole thing. Let's see what else.
His death wasn't sad because of him so much and his arc, as much as just how the actor played it and how they wrote it.
Was really, really good.
Scene, I think.
Sarah has a question I think might be a bit too complicated to answer here. Good Lord, about what the point of Jon being heir to the throne was. I honestly, let's devote 3 hours to that some other time. As Jackie says, at least The Last Kingdom has an ending of value. This is good. They ruined the Game of Thrones for the last season and last episode so bad I can't even watch Game of Thrones again. Which is, I think, one of the big points of The Last Kingdom, right? The Last Kingdom did have, and it did, a good ending. There was this simple, Uhtred wanted to retake my lens, and he finally did at the end. And that was pretty affecting. I love talking Uhtred voice. If you ever watching at home, watch The Last Kingdom, do you ever walk around the house just talking like Uhtred? Saying like, I must reclaim my lance. Absolutely. He has this very German meets English staccato way. I love it. But the ending was great. It was satisfying. And the ending of Game of Thrones to me was a little more slapdash, and that is unfortunate. To me, that doesn't make me like Last Kingdom more. I just got so much more value out of Game of Thrones in terms of what it meant to me, like what it made me feel. Like I perked up watching Last Kingdom during some really big moments. Like I perked up when Brita died. I perked up during that last montage. I perked up during guys whose name I can't even remember died. Baby Monk.
Ethel something?
What's his name?
Was it an Ethel?
It wasn't. It was Monk Man. Baby Monk with Osferth. His name is Osferth.
Osferth. There you go. The names are part of this is part of the thing with The Last Kingdom too. It makes it a little I know they're historically accurate. I wouldn't want them to change them, but there's a big difference when drawing historically accurate names that were made to be names of people versus names that some writer thought up because they sounded cool, which is Game of Thrones. So like the names, the characters, like
Ethelstan,
I was never as an
Ethel Witch.
I think aside from
Heston, that's the one. Oh, Heston, he was nice.
Oh man. Yeah, Heston had some great scenes. He's one of the few characters I feel like over the course of the show, he had such a huge arc that I cared what happened to him by the end.
agree.
And I did not like him at first.
Could have used more dynamism like that, I think. And by the way, Nicole said that her husband walked around the house for weeks talking like Uhtred. Yeah, he and me are kindred spirits. To talk like Uhtred, good to talk like this, to go over there. I cannot help you. We must defend my lands. Oh, it's so much fun.
Destiny is
I'm sorry. Destiny is all. You were saying, Daniel. I want that Funko Pop so I can do that like this.
Yeah, right. So Valerie on YouTube has a really great point about this, which is, but if The Last Kingdom had 8 seasons, would it be as good? And I think that is a fair question to ask, because right now, like, it's easy for us to look at this and be like, Game of Thrones ruined its legacy or tarnished. It tarnished its legacy.
Ooh, tarnished.
I still think Game of Thrones is great, but I totally get people who are like, I can't watch it. It makes me too mad.
I understand.
I get that.
I get the perspective, yeah.
Think about where Game of Thrones was at season 5, though. It did not have that reputation. It was the biggest show in the world at that point still. And it still was at season 6. By the end of season 6, when Cersei blew up the Sept of Baelor, we were not yet in this train of Game of Thrones is going to one day be bad. It was still incredible. So
there were some folk who were on that train, but it wasn't a chorus yet.
It was, yes. And there were some, like, I'm not saying there weren't issues. Like, Dorne existed then. There's some like battlefield logistics that don't make sense in the battle.
Arya stabbed in the gut and she's fine. Like it was a thing.
It was like that thing from Our Flag Means Death. She turned at the right part, so it missed all the important bits.
It could have.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I with The Last Kingdom, like, we're talking about the plot getting repetitive or what have you. It's 5 seasons in. So it's hard to think about like how that would change if it ran 3 more. Would it have gotten bad? We'll never know. I
imagine it would have. It probably would have got. I'm sure it would have. I think it would have just gone on the same solid, good, but probably not utterly spectacular version of itself, which would have been fine because it's good.
Yeah,
but there is something to be said for a show that has the Cersei versus the Sept moment. There just is. Nothing has rocked my socks off like that. I mean, Daenerys attacking the Lannisters, even like the Long Night battle. There are stuff that I'm just much more attached to those people. And I do think it's because the show took risks. So for me, Game of Thrones wins this, but I certainly respect The Last Kingdom a lot. Also, I do want to respond to Sarah because the names. Okay, I want to share an anecdote with all y'all. So I once got to interview, I think I said this before, we'll say it again, some of the Last Kingdom cast, like on a Zoom COVID thing. And I asked them, like, so the names on this show: Ethelstan, Ethelwald, Ethelwitch, Ethel. Do I get confused with them? Do you ever get confused with them? And they said, yes, we do. Of course we get confused by these names. Like, and we play the characters. Like, I respect that it's history. I don't care. It's TV, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
Call someone Bob. Like, just like change someone's name to something more pronounceable and less repetitive. Like, great, it's history. But like, also, no, it's not. It's like, Uhtred's not real. Like, it's historical fiction at best.
Yeah.
You don't have to be slavishly devoted to every truth from the 9th century. I maintain, I bet the show would have been bigger if they had changed some of those stupid names. I say that, but great show.
Yeah. To be fair, I like that the names are factual, but I do think it's hard to debate that it makes it, like, even Alexander Draymond, who plays Uhtred, said he has a hard time remembering all the names. It's so even though they're factual. Yeah, but he said this recently. So it is like, yeah, even if the names are factual, they're still, like you said, like, I wonder if there would have been something like maybe it could have done a little better. It's hard to pinpoint any one specific thing, but there's a reason that in stories with all made up names, they're not too similar. Like Game of Thrones changed Asha and Osha to have different, which I hated, for the record. I would rather have the two similar names than Yara.
I like Yara. I think Yara's a nice name.
That's fair. I'm biased because Asha Greyjoy is one of my favorite characters in the book, so I was sad.
Fun.
But yeah, the names are it's a big toss up. I think at the end of the day, The Last Kingdom was a great show. It was a great show. I think it to some extent it almost does feel like comparing apples and oranges just a little bit, because the main thing they have in common is they're political medieval war fantasies.
It's more like apples and crab apples. Like they're different, but there's enough similar that you can reasonably compare them, you know?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. That is absolutely fair. Apples and crab apples. So yeah, I don't know which we like better. Is it apples or is it crab apples?
It's apples. Game of Thrones is better. I like Game of Thrones much better, but I do like Last Kingdom a lot, and I'm glad it had its day in the sun. And it's going to be a movie coming down the pike. How about you? I know that you guys have already said it, but name your Game of Thrones or Last Kingdom choice in the comments below. It's like a little poll.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a scientific study.
Scientific study. And what else we talk about today, Daniel?
Well, I think we should probably discuss what we've been watching, and
I think we should.
Is that where we're at? There's one right answer here for everyone, which is the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. That's what we're all watching.
I watched it. That's all you.
It. Yeah, I watched it for a minute. I had a real hard time looking away.
By saying that everybody's watching it, where really it's just you're a celebrity obsessed person.
What would ever make you think that in this line of work? But no, it was filled. I watched it for like 5 minutes and then I turned it off because we have stuff to do.
Yeah, fair enough.
But no, okay. So actual things we're watching. What have you been watching, Dan? What's new in your television world?
I'd love to tell you. And by the way, let us know what you guys are watching out there, and we'll get to your answers a little later. We're interesting. I am watching. So I'm looking forward to Barry. That's HBO show about Bill Hader. I think it's Bill Hader. Here's the other Hader. It's Bill Hader. As a funny assassin. Really, really, really good show. The 3rd season starts this Sunday. Have you watched it at all?
I haven't. Every time I see a commercial for that show, I'm like, man, got to give Barry a chance. I love Bill Hader.
I think you would like Better Call Saul. I think you would like Barry. I'm also, before that, I'm watching, this is not fantasy in the least or even genre. I'm watching the show Julia, which is about Julia Child on HBO. You know, the French chef, the one who cooked in the 70s. It's like, oh, yes, put the butter in the thing and just stir it around. Another great voice. I like voices a lot. Like, I've traded in Uhtred for Julia Child walking around like saying, well, we have to go and put all the lard and fry it up just in the pan like so.
This is what happens when you don't get recorded by history. Those are the voiceovers that overtake your legacy.
Oh, she's recorded. She has like hundreds of episodes of her show. She's fully on, but that's why most of
so. Uhtred's not. Yeah.
Yes,
okay, so
true.
Is it good?
It's really good. It's this it's a lower stakes drama. No one's going to get into dragon or save the world, but it's about her starting up her famous cooking show, and just the trials and tribulations that come with that, and getting her feet off the ground, trying to break into public television in the 50s with people who are resistant to the idea of that kind of thing, would rather do more high-minded stuff. It's well acted. It's Bebe Neuwirth is her friend. David Hyde Pierce is her husband. So it's Niles and Lilith from Frasier are both in it. I think Kelsey Grammer should have played Julia Child to like complete the trifecta, but it's very, very good. It's relaxing. It's solid. Good character drama. I'm into it.
Cool.
I think somebody agreed with me. Yeah, Terry is also watching it. Yeah, Terry, it's a good show, right? And Joanne's watching The Expanse. Can't go wrong with that. That's one that I
nice.
still have to watch. I'll watch it if you watch Better Call Saul.
That's fine with me. I need to watch Better Call Saul. I loved Breaking Bad. I know the last season of Better Call Saul is coming out, and they're tying more threads together between that and the original show. So I have heard nothing but good things about Better Call Saul.
It's excellent. It's just an excellent show. I can't speak.
Yeah.
And Nicole watching Outer Range, which is definitely also a hot new program.
Yeah, that's the Josh Brolin show, right? I've heard a lot of good things about that one too. Yeah. So I'll meet your not sci-fi fantasy with another not sci-fi fantasy, because I watched the rest of the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel's new season.
Oh, kick-ass. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Last week. Yeah, that was such a fun show. I feel like that's one I always forget how good it is when it's between seasons, and then it comes back and I binge it in like a week, and I'm like, man, that show was so good. I felt like the season ended a little abruptly, but it was still great all the way through.
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah, it did seem like, wait, there aren't more. I agree with you on that point.
Yeah,
but it was very, very good. It's always well written. They got that like really rapid fire, like
it's theater beats. It's theater beats. That
I think I read that Amy Sherman Palladillo, who wrote Amy Sherman Palladillo, who wrote that show in Gilmore Girls, like the scripts she writes are like 3 times as big as a normal TV script, but it takes as long. Like the episodes are still as long as some episodes of TV. Just there's so much more to say in them. They have so much more dialogue in those shows. So she likes talking.
Yeah, the pithy dialogue.
Nicole, we are watching Moon Knight. Yes. Actually, good point, because we kind of disagree about this one. As Nicole says, the show feels so all over the place, hoping it gets better, which is kind of in your wheelhouse, Daniel. What do you think of this latest episode, The Tomb?
So I really enjoyed the first 3 episodes of Moon Knight. I was all about it. I was fully on board. I'll be honest, I really kind of hated the one that dropped today. It just felt like Moon Knight's Achilles heel is that they're kind of fast and loose and sloppy with the writing. And sometimes like they do really well with like anything dealing with Oscar Isaac's personalities or like his acting. The acting is all fantastic. The music's great. The sets are great. I think there are lots of little inconsistencies with the writing where like Arthur Harrow conveniently pops up literally everywhere. Anytime anyone needs to have any kind of issue, he's just there. It like, you know, there's a mummy. Spoiler alert, there's a mummy that pops up in this episode. No one bats an eye.
Not as scary as I was hoping it would be, the mummy.
Yeah.
I read about the mummy in your review, and then it was like, all right, it's a mummy. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I feel like they glossed over a lot of stuff, kind of moving things from A to B. Like they found the lost, again, sorry, spoilers here. They found the lost tomb of Alexander the Great and hardly paused to be like, this is a lost tomb from history that scholars have been wondering over the location of for years. And we're just going to gloss over this. He was impressed for like 5 seconds, tops. Yeah. So you like this one. This is funny because last week I feel like we were on the opposite.
I thought it was about as good as well, one thing I will say, like from the start, the thing I thought was easily the best part of this was Oscar Isaac performance. And I mean,
oh, totally.
I still think that's true. And that was still charming to me. Like I laughed when he said hello to the camels for no reason. I laughed at his scream as he went down the pit. I laughed as he kicked it over Alexander the Great. I just think he's charming. And honestly, that was always, I'm gonna do my, I don't have high expectations for Marvel things. It's been a long time since that. And that's what I like for the first 3. That's kind of what I kept liking here. That's right. Like some of your points are like the mummies. I don't know. Like this technically isn't a world where Avengers Infinity War happened. If mummy is really that big a deal. Whatever, mummy. I mean, have to work this out the way.
That's fair. It just felt like it was a little confusing to me because I felt like they pulled this thing that like you would expect in anything that was pulling Egyptian mythology, they're going into a tomb, there'll be it's like the most, it's tough. I don't want to say the most stereotypical Egyptian thing they could have done. After the last episode felt like they were trying really hard to do authentic representation for Cairo. I think, yes, it's the world of Avengers Infinity War. That's fair. But like, to the degree that no one's even gonna like bat an eye, and it wasn't even just the fact that no one commented or was like, there's an actual mummy here. They also were just like the mummy was off screen, and then it was like it didn't exist. So it was kind of like their concern robbed the scene of tension. Like they were talking about their relationship going into this tomb filled with bad guys.
That was a little shoehorned in there, those things. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess like it didn't really feel more contrived to me than usual what happens in Marvel to me. But
fair.
I don't expect much.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That makes all the difference. Is the expectations, and unfortunately, I had higher expectations going into this episode of Moon Knight, and I was let down. We'll see if I can turn it around.
Expectations low, kids. That way, you'll never be disappointed.
That's the lesson. That's the lesson here.
But then, whilst I mean, the final third, where they're in a mental asylum, was unexpected. I perked up for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Again. I liked that as a twist. I like that they were pulling it back to his mental state, because I think that is where the show has been the strongest, is like you said, Oscar Isaac's performance. He's selling lines that on paper would be lame, and he's making them great. I think even the mental asylum, and this is a nitpicky film thing, but like, so if this was supposed to be Oscar Isaac's point of view, he's in this mental asylum. I think they were, again, just kind of a little sloppy with it. Like the mystery was cool at first. Then you realize it's probably all a projection of his mind, or he's in the Duat, which is the Egyptian underworld. There's something going on like that.
Obviously, yeah.
He runs out of the room to get away from Arthur Harrow. Sure, and then the camera lingers in the room with Arthur Harrow and his bros. So it's like there are things like that where it feels like they're trying to do very intentional things. But if this is supposed to be his mental projected point of view, why are you showing the like a totally meaningless interaction? Arthur Harrow being like, "Oh, you okay? He punched you. Are you fine?" Why do we need to see that? It takes the viewer out of the immersion in Oscar Isaac's point of view. So there were things like that really bugged me in this episode.
I guess I didn't like. I mean, I watched it and I wasn't like, this is from his point of view. But also, I have two words that can invalidate all of your arguments.
Ooh,
dream logic. This film operated almost on a dream logic. Like things don't quite make sense. Woozy. It's more of a dream logic, and once you accept that, you understand it. Dream logic. Like, why
is this from?
Was
something?
There just it's just a good way. Like, why was there a whole scene missing? Why do the characters make sense? This film is stupid, and I don't get it. No, it's just that you don't understand that it's operating on dream logic. It's not dumb. It's artsy.
Okay,
it's dream logic.
Yeah. Okay. It's dream logic, but that was my problem with it. It felt like there were times they tried to be artsy for the sake of being artsy. So fair.
Well, I'm just sorry. I'm just sorry that you're not sophisticated enough to appreciate the dream logic. But you'll get there. It's fine.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing but time. Convince me, Ethan Hawke.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I'll watch the next one and see what happens. Shall we move on
Nicole's
to our...
with me. She can't get behind it. But Julie is all about it.
Yeah, all about dream. David Lynch. Yeah, he would love it. You know what David Lynch does? His movies operate on dream logic.
Dream logic.
And they do. Only his are great. They were showing like a David Lynch marathon, the music box, and I think I mostly missed, but I'll catch it next time. Okay, shall we go on to our final segment?
Yeah, let us lightning. In honor of Thor, the god of thunder, and Zeus, we are going to do a lightning round.
8 stories, 20 seconds on the clock. No rules, except for that one about 20 seconds on the clock. 8 stories, 1 rule.
What's the rule?
20 seconds or you die.
Oh, okay. All right. I think you want to ask me first. I didn't really look over the order of these. We're gonna mix it up today.
Okay. Daniel, Fantastic Beasts 3, The Secrets of Dumbledore's out in theaters, and it had the weakest opening weekend gross of any movie in Harry Potter history back in 2001.
We're just going to put an ellipses after that and say, and no one was surprised.
Sure.
Yeah, of course it had the weakest open. They're still making these movies. Yeah, that's, who cares about I'm sorry, like whether you hate J.K. Rowling or not, like who cares about Fantastic Beasts? Not me.
We're done. Okay.
Nice. All right. Dan, speaking of things that should surprise no one, Ezra Miller was arrested in Hawaii again.
Ezra Miller, the star, he's the Flash. He's in Fantastic Beasts as a person. I don't know what his. I mean, I hope it gets better if I hurt somebody. But my thinking is, if they want to quietly kill Fantastic Beasts, they can say like, "Well, Ezra Miller is in it, and we really can't afford to go forward with his acting like this, so we can't make it 50 movies." Oh no! I bet someone's thinking that.
Is Ezra Miller are out on this series?
It might be. Okay, but no more of that.
Could be.
Clock is up.
Okay.
Daniel, this is a fun one. Paramount Plus, in cooperation with Minute Media, of which Winter is Coming is a part. We did this somehow. Paramount Plus projects a giant Halo hologram or halogram over major cities.
Yeah.
Look at that. Master Chief.
I mean, it's pretty cool. The Master Chief's in style there over the Sydney Harbor. I think it was Sydney, Sao Paulo, Mexico City, and Toronto. It's the largest hologram that has ever existed. It's 6 stories high, this thing. So yeah, once again, Paramount Plus pulling out all the stops to promote Halo.
We are doing so good this time.
This is
what happens.
It's because we have the blessing of the God of Thunder. All right, Dan, I know that this is the franchise nearest and dearest to your heart. Jason Momoa is going to star in a Minecraft movie. How do you feel?
Okay, so Jason Momoa, big movie star, Aquaman, Game of Thrones, Khal Drogo. Minecraft is a video game I never played that was like blew up just when I was too old for it. Huge. I mean, this just feels like they're getting better at video game movies, but this still feels like, let's put a star in a thing people like and just we'll write some jokes and people will pay some money and make it like Bandits. I don't think.
Yeah. Is he going to be a Minecraft character? Is he going to be himself? We won't know.
As Julie points out, that we're just still winning 3-0. We stop talking after it's over. We're losing.
What? Oh, okay. That's fair.
That counts as talk. That pithy question counts as talk, I guess. I suppose.
Man, the rules are rough in the lightning round.
We're making up as we go. Thank you, Julie, for keeping us honest. Okay. Next is me. Okay. Daniel, The Witcher announces actors for season 3, new actors, including Stephen Amell's cousin, who has a name. I don't know.
I could swear this dude was Arrow. It's not Arrow. It's in fact his Arrow's cousin is starring in The Witcher next season. It also has the sister from Shang-Chi. I think it's great. We'll see. The Witcher's, I loathe The Witcher, so we'll see if this season can change my opinion. Boom. Okay. DC wants to find its own Kevin Feige to compete with Marvel. Okay. I mean, obviously, right? DC has been floundering for a little while. I mean, not floundering. They just haven't been succeeding as much. And they want to reshape their movies so they're more like the MCU. I think it's a bad idea. I think they should keep going another direction. But I get the compulsion.
to, want to make a ton of money. I don't think it'll work, though. I think it's going to be another failure at the end of the day.
Yeah.
All right. We skipped a couple, I believe. No, we didn't. Nope, we didn't. Oh, I skipped one.
That was the one.
All right.
Works out better this
Daniel. Way. Yeah. Amazon releases new images from The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, including this one. Ooh.
Yeah, so they released a couple new images on Instagram. This is Bronwyn. I believe she's a human, but as Dan pointed out when he wrote this up on winteriscoming.net, you can't see the part of her ear that would be pointy. The show looks gorgeous. The question is just, what is it gonna be? Is it gonna be any good? And we still don't know from this picture, but it's nice to look at. Okay,
let's pick.
Dan, the final lightning of the lightning round, the last bolts. AMC released a new teaser of Sam Reed as Lestat in Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah, here's a very, very dim picture of Lestat the vampire shot from behind. We can't see his face. It's cool they're gearing up for stuff. I'm excited for this show. I like Interview with the Vampire. I like Henry. I'd watch this. It's weird that apparently they're in like the early 20th century, like there's electricity, so they're updating that,
weird.
Which is odd because the person says like we got to update from other audiences, but like it's still a period piece. Like you're still whether it's okay. We really tried this time. I find stopping.
I totally agree with that.
I find stopping when the buzzer runs out very unsatisfying. I really want to. It's like cutting me off. Oh, I love that idea from Christian. Can you hook up tasers lightning round? Yes, let's do that. Like or like a whip. Yeah, I'd be in favor of that. Who wants to violate
I'd rather
OSHA
a taser. Then we're at least staying in the theme of the lightning round. Like finish the lightning round on time, or you get zapped.
Let me hear it. Okay, cool. There we go. Wait, thank you, Richard. There's a delay before I play the buzzer, and when they hear it, I'm going to give them the credit for this week. Thank you. Yay, we won.
Yeah.
And you know what? We all won because we enjoyed a special hour together talking about just nonsense. And we do this every week.
Very important things.
We do this every week at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Winter is Coming Facebook page and the Winter is Coming YouTube page. Join us next Wednesday and every Wednesday after that. We are also available in podcast form wherever you download your podcast. Google Play, iTunes, or Apple, wherever you get them. We're there. And we'll see you next week. Before that, we'll see you in your dreams. Logic.